Well, hello there and welcome to my workshop. Now, it's been a while. We've been busy with various things around the house and we've also been on holiday. So, bit delayed finishing the great guitar, build-off guitar. And you will notice that the deadline for the main competition has finished. It was the 1st of October. But I was in the community build and really just there to build along. I'm certainly not in it to win it. I've not quite finished the guitar yet and not quite finished putting together the full build video, but as soon as that's done I can assure you that will be out on the YouTube. But if you're like me and you've just looked at all the entries, you might be a little bit overwhelmed because there are a lot of fantastic entries this year. So how do you go about watching all those videos? Because you can't just sit through them all. I mean, there's just too many of them. So I thought I'd give you my strategy for this. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to vote or not. I'll have to look at the rules to see if community builders can vote on the competition. But I will be watching as many of the videos as I can. And what I like to do, first off, I like to look through and see which videos have got the fewest views. Now, you've got to bear in mind that everybody who's taken part in this guitar building challenge has put in an awful lot of effort, put a lot of hours in, a lot of hard work to build their guitar. Now, some of the videos and some of the the builders there will have a lot of followers and they'll have had a lot of views during the whole process, and their end video is probably bound to get a lot of views. But there will be a lot of people out there who haven't got a lot of people following them, subscribers, and they won't get so many views. And so what I would urge you to do is to go through and find those folk and have a look at their videos. And secondly, to put a comment on them, because as people who have entered this competition will know, there's a great disappointment at the end because there can only be one or two winners in each category, and everybody else, no matter how much work they've put in and how fantastic their guitar is, they're not going to be recognised by the competition. But they could be recognised by all of us who have watched their video and commented on their guitar. I mean, constructive comments, it doesn't always have to be glowing. If you can think of something that might have been done better, then I'm sure they would like to hear about it. So that's my strategy for looking through these videos. And I don't think it's unfair on those who get lots of views, because they're bound to be sort of up in the running for the winning spot. I just think it balances it all out a bit more. Anyway, why am I here? Well, I've got to make some knobs for this guitar. So while Carolyn's doing the painting, I thought I'd get on, make a couple of knobs out this Avancol. And I want to do an inlay on them. So let's get going. Whew. Not sure how we're going to do this. Now, I've been talking to my graphic design consultant about this, and she thinks I need to have this sort of shape inlay with a little pointer on the front. So the thing with the guitar is this flower, and so we've got petals all running up the fretboard, and this is sort of like a petally shape type thing that's going to go on the top of the knob and point in the direction, well, that the knob's turning. I'm going to use this sort of size knob, I think. I think if I go any smaller with this Avancol, I won't have enough wood on there to give it strength, because it does have a tendency to split. It still could split, but we'll see. So what I'm going to do is mark out a couple of circles and then do the inlay before I cut the knobs out. I don't have any flashy drills or anything that's going to cut a round knob, so I'm going to have to do it on the bandsaw. Yeah, so inlay material. I've got these shells that I've been using in various other places, so just need to find something that I can use. Ah, that looks pretty good. That looks quite nice actually. I might even get 2 out of there. And that one looks quite nice. Okay, these are just shells that I bought in a hobby shop in a packet. You normally put them in with, I don't know, in a flower pot or something, but in actual fact, they polish up really nicely, and well, some of them are quite flat. Okay, let's mark up these holes. Of course, I don't mean holes, do I? I mean knobs. I think the easiest thing to do is just to draw around these. Right, let's go in the middle there. I have to say, this whole YouTube thing is very interesting. I put out a video a couple of weeks ago about composing music, and has had very few views indeed, which of course is my own fault, because, you know, let's be honest with you, anybody watching me usually wants to see me build guitars, not compose music, which is an interesting challenge. But if you haven't watched the video, yeah, hopefully it might be interesting. I'm really trying to encourage people who, you know, are not professional artists as such, but people like me who have got a little bit of spare time on their hands, who like playing music. And there's so much now that you can actually do with very simple recording tools. I mean, I used an iPad to record like a film score. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, there's my knobs. I think what I'll do is mark a couple of circles on this bit of card and just work out some shapes. I think something like that will do the job. Yeah. Try one more. Round there. Round there. She sort of has it. No. I think I'll go for that top one. I really can't draw to save my life, to be honest with you. What I find though is, what I can do is when I'm cutting things out, get a much better idea of the actual shape that I want, and so it's the cutting and shaping afterwards that is where I do all my work, really. Okay, so that really doesn't look too much like a petal, does it? Let's see, we can't. Right, that's looking a bit more like what I should be aiming for. Let's just try trimming a bit more off here. It's a bit like shaving the legs off a table. We'll never get it quite right, will we? I don't know, I'll use it as a base. I think if I get a shell, something like that, it might look okay. Okay, well I've got the shell and I rather like the back side of it actually, because it's really nice. It's got a lovely tone in it. Anyway, I'm going to try and mark it out on this wood. Managed to hoover up my pencil in the process, but luckily I've got some more. Okay, well I'm going to do one of these at a time. I'm not going to try and do two at once because I'm not sure if this is going to work out. So let me just check that first. If it works out, I should be able to do the other one without any bother. Okay. So, I've got a bit of blue tack here I'm using just to hold the shell down. I think that looks about right. That's where I've got to cut out. Let me introduce you to a new jig I've made. Now then, I wasn't particularly happy with this routing jig that comes with the Dremel, and I saw that Stewmac had designed a really nice one, and well, this is based loosely on the Okay, let me introduce you to my latest jig. Now then, I wasn't particularly happy with this routing jig that comes with the Dremel, and I saw that Stewmac had produced one, very nice one, but at quite a price. But well, I looked at what they'd done and I thought, well, I can do something similar. I'll be honest with you, this is not a patch on the Stewmac one, but I think it's going to do the job. So it's basically a bit of plywood, which I've painted silver to make me feel better, with an aluminium plate with some bolts which have been glued in at the bottom there, and some springs to allow me to adjust this, the height of this up and down. And so with the plywood, I was able to get the Dremel to thread itself there. So what I need to do is just to screw that onto there like so. So now I've got that all fitted in. I just need to adjust these bolts, these nuts and bolts, which I'll have to do with a spanner to get the right height for the bit there, and we should be away. One of the reasons I've made this jig is for actually doing the binding around the sides, around the top of a guitar, because I just could not fathom out how to do that without, you know, a sort of proper jig for my router. My router's a big router and it really wouldn't be very easy to do. And then I saw that Stewmac had brought this out, and there's a little fixture that they add to it which helps you do binding around the top of the guitar. Now, I've made my own version of that with a bit of wood, but I've not tried it yet, so we'll have to see how effective that is. But I think this is going to be a lot easier to use than that Dremel version. So here we are. I think we're about there now. That looks about right. Yep. Okay, plug in and get going. Now that Dremel's worked pretty well. I could have gone a little bit deeper with the Dremel, to be perfectly honest with you, so I'm just taking a little bit off the base there, but otherwise it's done a really good job. So let's see how we're fitting now then. Yep, that looks pretty good. I've gone a bit off centre, so I need to adjust where the circle is. But before I glue this in, I want to drill a hole in the centre. So let me get my centre finder. Okay, I'll use the 25 mil hole there, circle. Just put that in just roughly, just to get an idea. Yeah, I think that's okay. Just mark where the centre should be. Like so. Okay, I'm going to drill a small pilot hole at that point. Okay, well I've marked the centre, I've drilled a small hole. I think I'm going to cut this knob out before I stick the inlay on the top. So I'm going to do that, but before I do that, I'm sort of interested to know whether my binding jig is going to work. So let me show you. Now this is not very pretty, and I have to say that this Stewmac version is really nice. But this is my adaptation of that. I've got a piece of wood with some aluminium stuck on the top, and I've threaded it, put a bolt through, and I've got a ball bearing on there. And this is going to run against the sides or the ribs of the guitar. And this little router bit then is going to cut the binding channel. So let's have a go. I'll be honest, I think the principle is there. It's followed the contours of the wood. It's a bit rough there, but it's going to take a lot of practice to get anything that's going to be reasonable, and I think I'd have to do it in very fine passes. Also, I'm going to need to fix this much more securely so it doesn't move from side to side. Yeah, well, sort of not quite back to the drawing board, but well, we try these things. I digress. Back to the knob. I will put a link to the Stewmac jig in the description below, because it's a very clever jig. Anyway, right, back to this. Well, it's a little bit quirky, but that's sort of my style. So yeah, I think that's going to be okay. I'm going to go and make another knob. I won't bore you with that. I've also been drilling the holes in the headstock and getting those all ready. And I needed to carve out a bit of the flower that I put on the back of the headstock to fit the tuner. So I've done that as well. So everything's going to plan so far. Just want Carolyn to do the artwork, which I know she's working on at the moment, and then I'll be ready to put the full video out. In the meantime, well, enjoy watching all those great guitars that have been finished already for the Great Guitar Build Off 2022, and well, there's some amazing stuff out there, and congratulations to all of those people who have finished those guitars, and good luck to them. Anyway, I will see you soon. Cheers.